Well, we have some interesting news. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about this news and what it means. But long story short, the game designers, people who create the game, decided that, as we've already learned, you will now be getting a free 90 with the purchase of the expansion. And on top of that, you're going to, this was released last night, the info. You're now, when you buy the game, you're going to get the free 90. So the game doesn't have to be out yet. You can pre-order it, which they say is going to be happening soon. You're going to be able to pre-order it soon, meaning you're going to get a free 90 in the middle of Pandaria, pretty much. I mean, realistically, if it's soon, even if it's in the next 2 months, there's probably still 5-6 months left of the expansion. So that's a lot of time. I kind of like this idea when I thought it was going to be associated with level 100. I do not like this idea now that you can get a free max level. That's not how it should be. It should be to skip stuff that you shouldn't need to worry about and get right into the new Warlords content. So immediately, that's one check for me on the wrong side. But there is some things to talk about. They also said they're going to, now we're going to walk through this discussion as well, because they said that you're going to be able to buy 90 as well. Like, it's going to be part of the store thing. It's not just going to be part of the expansion. So once again, obviously not, that's not what I'm interested in. I don't like that at all. You don't have to do it. Obviously don't have to do it, so it's not in any way mandatory. Does it cheapen the experience? We'll talk about that in a second, but let's talk about why they've reached this decision. And they explain this thoroughly, so anybody with complaints have no room. You would have to read the post and you would understand why. But basically what this fosters is, so whatever reason they came up with for giving a free 90, I originally I liked the concept because skipping the 90 and then leveling to 100 seemed fair. Like, I wouldn't mind paying for that, you know what I mean? That seems fair. As long as you don't get to level 100, then yeah, whatever, that's fine. But so, they like that idea. And they realized that what people would do to, like, metagame the system, like cheese the system, is just buy a bunch of accounts, buy Warlords, and then get a bunch of free 90s and transfer them over to their main account, right? Because any account on the Battle.net could have a new copy of Warlords, and then there'd be a 90, and you just transfer it. So I respect them for that decision, because that would obviously be a considerable amount of money for somebody to be spending. $40 for the expansion, 25 or maybe even 50 for the transfer, depending. I don't know how it works, but so they would be making like $100 per 90 at that point. Obviously, it's not going to be that expensive. Probably, I'm going to be pretty upset if it's more than $15, but I'm sure it's going to be. I hate the fact that these mounts are $25. That's just such a silly number. But anyway, yeah, it's going to be expensive probably. So maybe we'll talk about that in the future, but. Now, in terms of rationale and whether or not this is a good thing, what do you guys think? I'm looking for your opinions, because this is probably going to be, I might write something about this on Stratics. Tyler's already broken the news out there on Stratics, but there's a lot more stuff to be discussed. So I'll probably try to weigh it both sides, which is kind of what I'm doing now. Right now, I'm already tilted to the no side, but there's some good to it as well, because. Basically, if you don't have a 90 by now, this isn't really as big of a deal as it sounds, right? If you don't have a 90 by now, you're not really playing World of Warcraft anyway. So if you want to pay for it, you should be able to, because I don't know, you know what I mean? And another thing, it's good for people to catch up, right? So I really like this concept, thinking ahead. With Warlords around the corner, people often want to switch mains. Well, if it's, something that they're not sure about, then they could level this character to 90 instantly and then play it there. And then maybe they'll switch their main. If not, then they won't. But now, yeah, I don't know. Leveling to 90 seems like a triviality. If I were to level a character now, I would probably just use Wrath. There's almost no chance in hell that I'm going to actually, 1 through 60 is alright, but 70 through 80 is terrible. And even 80 to 85 isn't fun. 85 to 90 is tremendous. I love Mob. And Classic, 1 to 60 isn't bad now that they revamped it as well. But there's a lot of comments on here, so kind of going to go through some of the points. Basically, the people say I would rather have made leveling experience more fun instead of making it skippable. But that's not really like, that's not a valid argument, is it? Because some people do enjoy it. In fact, I enjoy it, but it's not fun. Like this guy, next guy says, uh, he says it's somebody says it somewhere that it's fun. It is fun, but it's not fun the fifth time you've done it. So if they want to bang a little bucks out of us, then I'm fine with that, honestly, because I will never be spending money on this no matter what. I have every character around 90 that I want. So unless they add a bunch of new characters, and that's another thing, like this would be even worse if they were adding a new race or a new class, because then everybody would be buying it, and I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. So that's one thing to like balance out the negative that immediately comes to my mind. But I just I don't see this being healthy for the game. Like, what's next? You're going to be like, so you're obviously going to get gear with this as well. You're not just going to be 90 and not have any gear. They even said that originally the concept was to get free 90s that were going to be in gear adequate for questing. So if you look back to ICC, what was it? 232 was the eye level for questing, not ICC, but in Wrath, when they added that free vendor at Hyjal, it was 232. So, and then in MOP, I believe it's 378. I can't remember, honestly, but so if they do something like that, based on those tiers, approximation 232 was TOC, I believe, TOC normal, and 378 was Firelands normal, so one tier back. So if this does work out the way that they've done it in the past, then that means everybody's going to come at level 90 with full Firelands gear, or excuse me, full TOT gear. So 522. Even if it was only 496, which is what the island has, that would probably be more likely since that's what the island has. Full set of 496, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that, one way or the other. It's like buying gear, and it feels a lot like a private server to me. And I recognize why, let's explore why private servers do it. They do it because they need to make money, and this is something that people would pay for. Blizzard, I don't know if they need to make money. You know what I mean? Obviously, they're making money, and they make a lot of it, but the concern is that they're on the decline with World of Warcraft. More people unsubscribe each day. I don't feel that's a bad thing for the game, because those people, if you quit the game, you obviously weren't playing it serious anyway, because playing the game serious means you do something every single week in the game, right? You either raid or PvP, and that's a weekly reset. So people who quit the game, 95% of them didn't actually play the game for the right reason. 5% that do quit, it's tough to see them go, but obviously the money is what they're losing more. Like the players, I couldn't give a shit about, but the money does suck. So they're trying to come out with new pay-to-win stuff. Not pay-to-win, but like mounts. Transmog, the helm thing, I wasn't a huge fan of that. Nobody even uses that anymore, but everybody bought it. It's just quick cash grabs that they're trying to implement. And obviously a lot of people aren't a fan of it. I don't mind the store, the Battle.net store. I don't mind that. Obviously you don't have to buy that. But this is something that kind of rings. It hits me. It hits me pretty hard, and it's like it takes me a little bit to figure out if I'm a fan of this, or if like I'm not a fan of this. And obviously if I'm not a fan of it, it doesn't make a difference. There's a lot of people on here who are in favor of this. This guy says, please, I beg you, don't put the pay for 90 boost, please. And this guy says, what's wrong with it? You know what I mean? A bunch of people are like, so this guy says it will attract more lazy, impatient jerks. That's true, but that's the whole game anyway. Like this guy, let's see this guy. Let's see this. If this is a legit character, I'll be surprised. 458 eye level. Like, are you kidding me, dude? Huh? I pray to the lords above that this guy is not. This guy just happened to be logged in on this character, because you just made a comment about lazy, impatient jerks, essentially cheating so Blizzard can make a quick buck. We get to deal with that community. It's like, you're 458 eye level. You don't even play the video game. You know what I mean? Like, why are you even casting your opinion here? I don't see why people care. Like the majority of WoW players, those with skill and desire gravitate towards each other. Exactly. This guy's got it right. Who cares if the servers are flooded with newbies wanting to play that. It's actually a good thing. You're right. It is. The more people playing the game, the better. And I really doubt. I guess there's probably some evidence behind it. People probably do unsubscribe because they just can't be asked to get to 90. You know, new players. It's not a very new friendly game. Obviously, 1 to 60 was very difficult. I have a little editorial on that on Stratics, but it was not actually interesting. It was difficult because it was broken. It was not done properly. And they did not intentionally implement difficulty. And despite what all these people try to rationale, I did not feel accomplished when I got to 60. I felt like it was a pain in the ass. It took me months. That was not an accomplishment. It was an accomplishment because I overcame a system, looking back, that was completely destroyed. It was not functional. Compared to the changes they've made now, everything is better. Questing may be easier, more streamlined, but that's a good thing because questing is not the point of the video game. The point of the video game is being level 90, max level. That is when the game opens up. Anybody who has a complaint about leveling, also not playing the game for the right reason. But the fact that you can buy 90 blurs the line, doesn't it? Because if you can buy 90, then who's to say that you're not going to be able to buy gear? And if you can buy gear, oh boy, that's not a good thing. That is not a good thing. But people will do it, and if they put it in, they would make a ton of money. So it's up to their like morals or whatever, you know, like however you want to describe it. They can do it, and they can make a ton of money. So we'll see. Hopefully you guys have some opinions on this. At this point, it's really difficult for me to balance. One check because I hate the fact this was supposed to be for level 100. All right, they literally lied to us at BlizzCon. Now they say they changed their mind. But it's just not. You don't change your mind on a topic like this. This was to be for people wanting to see Warlords content, not to get free 90s while 90s the max level. That's dumb. I don't like that. That's like a huge issue. But you know, the fact that they are trying to keep a player base, you know, anybody who doesn't have a 90 at this point, like, what's the point anyway? Like, if you're buying a 90 as your first 90, it doesn't make a difference. And serious players have all the 90s. Like, I've had all the 90s I wanted forever, like for months. So I don't know. It's tough for me. So what do you guys think?